That seems fair to me.
Fairness isn't the
really
issue.
think
If
you're
anything,
really
Well, if you don't know what fair is, you can't make a judgment on what fair is.
Unacceptable by any reasonable standard. You can't.
Donnybrook is made possible through the generous support of the members of KETC.
As the world looks for a stray cat, we welcome you to another edition of Donnybrook. Thanks so much for joining us, and thanks to the Gatesworth for making this program possible, as you folks do week in and week out. We sure appreciate it. Let's meet our panelists, starting with the media veteran herself, Wendy Wiese, along with Bill McClellan from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. From St. Louis Magazine, Ray Hartmann, also STLmag.com, and from the St. Louis American and STLmag.com, Alvin, Reid, and Wendy. We're going to start with you because the whole world is looking at this rally cat, which was on the field last night in the 6th inning, and now it's missing after a groundskeeper took it outside. It was picked up by a woman from Kirkwood, and now we can't find the poor animal. You were there. You witnessed history.
An eyewitness. My husband, and I've explained this before, we have a mixed marriage. He is a Royals fan. I am a Cardinals fan. We still make it work. He is convinced that the Cardinals have a box of animals in the basement of Busch Stadium because he's like, our pitcher was just getting ready. I mean, everything was falling into place, and then out comes this thing that we really, because we were in the Mercy suite. He is a proud Mercy employee, and we were there with Lynn Close and the members of their OR team.
Glenn Close?
No, that's a different Fatal Attraction. No, this is Lynn Close from Mercy's OR team. And everybody just kind of went nuts, and we thought, I said to him, is that we sounded like the really, really, really old people with bad eyes and bad ears. And I said, is that a squirrel? Is that rally squirrel? And he said, no, the tail is too long. And then you see this poor kid, just running. It was like chariots of fire. And he grabs the animal. The animal's hair is standing on end. You can almost see the teeth and the claws. And the kid, proceeded to lose, 3 or 4 quarts of blood. So the concierge person who came into the suite, and I'll wrap this up in an hour, I promise. But the concierge person said that they had contained the animal and that they were going to have it tested for, any kind of unfortunate diseases. And then the next thing we know, it's on its way to the island with Elvis Presley and Marilyn Monroe and Amelia Earhart.
And a friend of Alvin was last seen with it.
That's right.
Yes. You're a witness.
Yeah, all right. Corey, sweet lady, she tried to rescue the cat, I guess, after the Cardinals or somebody just threw the poor thing back in the street. Oh my God, kitty! All right, it's like, so she gets hold of the cat, and the cat flees her. I guess it's City Garden, so the cat's on the loose, and the Cardinals the cat should have went from there to the Humane Society. All right, hey, somebody, let's run the poor guy or gal down to the Humane Society, and I'm sitting there thinking, oh man, this is it. We go to the World Series on Cat Scratch Fever, Stray Cat Strut. I had them all lined up, and then I find out this morning that the poor cat's out running the streets again. It's it's like, boy, only in St. Louis could.
Well, do you think we should have had a better protocol? Because the guy's arms are bleeding, and they don't take it to an appropriate area or a box. They put it outside.
Well, that was wrong. And I will say this: that I have cats, love cats. When he picked the cat up, I said, son, you're making a mistake.
Yeah,
right.
And he tried. At least it looked like. And that was the other weird thing. That was the other weird thing. We looked, and all of the people who were sitting with us had their cell phones, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing, and didn't even have the presence of mind to try to record it off the jumbotron. But that was just this generational. We were just watching it, thinking how bizarre it is. But yes, they definitely need protocol for wildlife control.
I'll
because
try this Cardinal thing, it's more like wind in the willows than baseball. Mr. Toad is going to be out there next.
I will say this. I tend to be jaded about these stories, but in our defense in St. Louis, this was the lead story this morning on ESPN's website, so it isn't just us.
Sure, it's not North Korea. It's not North Korea. It's the cat.
It's
in the
arguably slightly more interesting than important.
No, well, it was a diversion from the daily events, which are kind of grim these days.
And,
So
you know,
we're
I
happy,
agree.
yeah.
And then also, Yadier related hits a grand
Yes,
slam.
right, all that.
right. You know,
And the cat drew blood. If the cat had gone quietly, no one would be talking about it
What
today.
would you do?
Is
if
there a
kid-
warrant out for
if
the
they're
cat?
not
You know,
going to
there
make the
should be a
cat-
warrant.
What are you
That
gonna
was
do?
an assault.
Okay, one at a
You
time,
gonna
please,
use a
Ray.
stun gun? I mean, what do
Yes.
you, they got to try to capture the cat, unless Major League Baseball just let them play around the cat being out there.
I don't know.
You
I
know,
think
I
you
don't
need a
know. I mean, you
bodysuit
have
or
to do
something.
something. I'm not sure that I would second guess the poor
Okay.
mauled kid.
But real
All
quick,
right, Alvin, let's move on because we have a lot of topics. And we want to ask folks to join us for Donny Bash October the 5th, and that's right around the corner. So, Lyda Krewson, the mayor of St. Louis, and Steve Stenger, the county executive, are partnering to put a new metro board together, you know, a bi-state board, and they've decided to submit a list of names to the governor that they would like to replace a number of the board members, including Vin Schamel, the former mayor, who's been a thorn in the side of Steve Stenger, and I think a pretty good watchdog on behalf of transit riders. What do you think about this?
Well, I agree with that. Also, I don't think they really want to turn over the entire board. They just want to get rid of Vince Schamel. But they have to do it, so a lot of other people might, regardless, and it's like, oh, just all new fresh faces and a new start, all that, whatever. They want to get rid of Vince Schamel for whatever reason. All right, but I think because he's the noisy wheel, or he's being an irritant when it comes to this metro thing, I think, man, as a person, as a resident of the county and this area, they need somebody like that. And I don't think it's necessarily right to say, all right, he's a thorn in my side or she's a thorn in my side, they've got to go. How about you address the problems that he has with you and go from there? So I think
I disagree with you, Alvin. I think that Vince Schamel, a colorful guy, and I like him, but he's been on the board for years now, and this isn't a lifetime appointment, and I think that they ought to be getting new blood in there. We've got huge problems
And
on
I think,
Metro.
and I do think this is one time, whatever you think of their motives or whatever, that the city and the county and Southern Illinois, the St. Clair County, have got to work together. I mean, we could have all our theories and differences about this stuff. At the end of the day, MetroLink is an important part of our community. It needs to continue growing, and the big issue, security, has to be resolved jointly. So the fact that they're working together, I think, is fine. And Vince is a friend. I think he's a very bright guy and been a wonderful public servant. But he has been, I think, a decade on the board. And to Bill's point, you're not supposed to be there forever.
Okay, let's move on, Bill, to another topic, and that is that Lyda Krewson, in an interview in your newspaper this week, said that public safety is her #1 priority, but she hasn't yet found the search firm that's going to find a new police chief. Now, Sam Dotson left when she was elected in early April. That seems to be a little, 4 or 5 months. I mean, you'd think that the search firm would be in place already. What do you think about this? She's conducting a national search. Do you like that idea?
No, I don't. I don't like the idea of the search firms. I don't like the national searches. I think that organizations are better when they promote from within. You know, recruit the best employees and then hire from within. I mean, we got 1,200 commissioned officers in the St. Louis Police Department, and there's more than a handful of them who would be fine. And when you go outside, you get somebody who interviews well, but that's all you can be sure of. And even if you make a great hire, it's like reinventing the wheel. The person comes here and he or she has to learn who everybody is and learn the issues. And I think you're better off promoting from within. And if I were advising Lyda Krewson, I'd say do that.
I mean, we have a real emergency situation, and I think a lot of these big cities are facing, obviously, violent crime statistics that are climbing and getting a little more, worrisome every year. But it was kind of strange to see, in terms of the pecking order, the Forest Park and the statue, that somehow that superseded. It's like she's got the search underway, but I don't know that the fingers on the pulse of what is really urgent and on the
and
minds
go back one
of,
is, I mean, like I say, we're going to replace the Metro Board, but we haven't replaced our police chief yet. Priorities. The finest college town in America, Lawrence, Kansas, just hired a police chief. I think he's like the second in command from Louisville. And he's taking the job there. Didn't take as long. Seems to me to be a pretty good candidate from what I've read.
Well,
and we haven't even gone as far as hire a search firm yet. What's that about?
Well, she's having these public meetings and she's soliciting public input, and that's taking
And what do
a
you
while.
say?
Yeah, but why?
We need a good police chief.
Right.
Everybody's going to go there.
Well,
we need
right.
a good police chief.
She's making this a
Diversity.
collegial affair. She's bringing in points of view.
Meanwhile, people are getting shot and
but
killed.
in fairness to Lida, we have a police chief. It's not like the police department isn't functioning. I half agree with my fellow founder.
Thank you.
I half. I'm trying to remember which half.
But just use the half you agree
One
with.
of the
Wrap it
half.
up.
Well, no, it's that I think search firms are a waste of money in general. I just think they're not productive and they're sort of a cop out. But the other half is while I think people should be considered within, having a bias that says you should only promote within, I don't agree with that. I think you got to look at both,
All right.
with internal and external. But you do not need a search firm to find out of town folks.
I like fresh blood, so I disagree with you. And I also would like to see you at the Sheldon in October, and here's how you can join us.
Kind of hard to believe, isn't it, that Donnybrook is celebrating 30 years on the air. And in honor of that anniversary, we are asking 30 of you to give us a call right now and to become a member of the 9 Network or renew your membership once again. We have wonderful ways of saying thank you, and we do not want you to miss out on Donny Bash when it is coming up, and it's just around the corner. So tickets are going fast for this, and we don't want you to miss out on a great opportunity. Now, the tickets are $50 a piece, and you can do the math or just call the volunteers and tell them how many tickets you want. But the real bargain to be had right now is when you become a sustainer of the 9 Network at $10 a month. You will get your 2 tickets. You will also receive that handsome 9 Network mug to enjoy anytime you like. And that's our way of saying thank you, and that really is the best deal going on right now. But 30 of you, we are asking for 30 of you to call right now. So don't wait, make that phone call right now. 30 years on the air in Donnybrook, there really is nothing else like it on the air. Over the other PBS stations, other cities have tried, but no one has successfully recreated Donnybrook the way that we have here on the 9 Network. And the reason we've been able to do that is because of you and your membership dollars. That's what has kept Donnybrook on the air all this time, and you are very important to us. So give us that call right now. Let us hear from you. Once again, the tickets for Donny Bash, when it is held at the Sheldon Concert Hall, the tickets are $50 a piece. But when you become a sustainer of the 9 Network right now for $10 a month, you will receive 2 tickets to Donny Bash and the handsome 9 Network mug, our way of saying thank you. And don't forget that you will also have access to 9 Passport, which is a dandy new feature that we're having a lot of fun with. 9 Passport is a whole collection of PBS programs, present and past, and you will have access to 9 Passport to watch those programs whenever and wherever you like. But give us that call right now. 30 of you, we're looking for you. Let's go over and join the folks from Donnybrook and Kate Durbin.
Thank you, Marianne, and thank you for all of you who are watching and the people who have already called in. But if you haven't called in yet, now is the time, because we are looking for 30 new members during this break to celebrate 30 years of Donnybrook here at the 9 Network.
So you two were
19.
You two were 40.
6th grade.
You were 40.
Excuse me?
I was, Ray was
This is
not.
my 6th grade class project. How many times do we have to go over this?
Well, you know, it has been 30 years, and you two were both founding members. Can you think of one particular time where you were absolutely shocked by something that one of the other members of the panel
Just
said?
tonight.
Oh, wow.
Just tonight?
That's a great question.
Okay.
That's a
hard
great
for us.
question.
Okay, let's look at it
It's a little
historically.
unfair to ask us to think at this age, but go ahead if you have to. I can't remember where I am.
Well, you know,
Well, I remember the craziest thing was when Mark Vittert and I were on this Your Turn part. And something was said, and we both started laughing, and we couldn't stop. And it was just like being in school or church where you try to stop, and then we would laugh again. And We thought it was all kind of clever. Martin Dugan thought it was very unprofessional. But we just couldn't stop ourselves. And start talking and start giggling. It was awful.
I'm trying to remember. There have been, I'm out to think about it, because there have been times where somebody'd say something over the years and it was just crazy, over the top. I can't remember though offhand.
Well, we can come back to that because it is the nature.
I'm thinking of a moment with Martin Dugan that I cannot repeat. But it was. No, I'm sorry. That's
The
not
old
fair.
mailbag?
It was hilarious, but I can't repeat it because then we'd lose our license, and that would be a bad thing. He said it. And I mean, he did not mean to say it. It was an accident.
Well, that is kind of the thing about live television. You guys show up, guys and gals show up every Thursday night, not knowing probably the day before what you're going to be talking about, what's going to be going on in our region, and come up with topics. And you never know what's going to be said and how you're going to have to work your way out of it if it kind of goes askew.
Well, that's the beauty of the show. That's the beauty of Donnie Bash, because there's actually people sitting there then, right?
Yeah.
Now, we
Which
don't
it
edit.
is.
What you see during a regular show is not edited. Unless Charlie talks too much and it goes a little past time, but but no, it's not edited.
Edit it once.
Right.
Anne Marie Berger can attest.
Right.
I think I said something libelous, and I asked her, she may corroborate this, to please take that little phrase out, and she did seamlessly.
And I had agreed not to sue you too. That's
I was going to say,
I don't know
Bible
why
praying,
she
and
felt
you
the need
all
to
the
do
time.
that.
But that's why it's great to be when you're in that audience and you're watching. It's live television. There is no more live television anymore.
Very little.
And very little. And it's cool being on stage doing it, but watching, I guess, it's got to be an experience unlike any other that you can get. I mean, I'm not saying it's like seeing a play at the Fox or Herbie Hancock is at Powell Symphony Hall tonight. But at the same time, you're watching a live television show. So.
Well, and I think a lot of people would prefer even to come to this, as much as they might enjoy the theater or something else, to come and see you folks who they see every Thursday night, and also have the opportunity to do the reception beforehand and then come and speak with you afterwards. So we are encouraging everyone to join us right now, just $50 per seat as a member of the 9 Network, and move to that $10 per month sustaining level. You get the mug, too.
Absolutely. Hey.
I don't know about trying to compare us to Fox.
Well, you don't have to compare
I'd
yourself.
rather go there than watch us. But I think that, but no, we do love the fact that the audience really the audience makes a show, and it's a great experience for us, really. And we've been doing it, you were saying, since 2005?
2005, I think, was the first one.
All right. Yeah. Well, you know what, and we are going to be hearing more about what happens that evening. We're heading back to Marianne.
All right, the phones are getting busy, so we are glad to hear from those of you who want to celebrate with us the 30th anniversary of Donnybrook. That's right, we are looking for 30 people to come on board, either renewing a membership or becoming a member for the very first time. You know, Donny Bash is a celebration that you just don't want to miss. It's at the Sheldon Concert Hall. The parking is free. There's plenty of it. The doors open at 5:30. There's a pre-program reception, so you're welcome to enjoy beverages. There's a cash bar. There are other refreshments. And then the program and the taping and the broadcast of Donnybrook, which you will be part of. And then there's a dessert reception after that. And believe me, the folks from Donnybrook usually like to close out the Sheldon after a night of Donny Bash. You don't want to miss it. Once again, at the $50 level of membership, that is one ticket, $50. But when you become a sustainer of the 9 Network at $10 a month, we'll send you 2 tickets plus a handsome 9 Network mug that a lot of you I know are enjoying right now. So don't be shy. If you've been to Donny Bash before, come on back. We're looking for you to give us a call right now.
Thank you so much. See you October the 5th. And Ray Hartmann, I want to ask you about our governor, Mr. Eric Greitens, who, it was pointed out, got about $35,000 from our state's largest company, Express Scripts. And among other things, he appointed someone from Express Scripts to the board of curators. I don't have too much of a problem with that, but he did give Express Scripts a bid-free contract, $250,000, to try and crack down on opioid abuse, which I think is good. but the contract also specifies that all the opioid dealings are only known by Express Scripts, and this is the only state in the nation that doesn't allow doctors to know if their patients are buying opioids and other drugs. And so it looks like a contract that really favors Express Scripts after Express Scripts gave the governor $35,000. Does this seem a little unseemly to you?
Well, I mean, probably no more so than politics as usual for governors. What's interesting and different about Eric Greitens is he's the prince of dark money. And I mean, we're at least talking about Express Scripts, partly because Express Scripts' website, for example, on the inauguration was the place that revealed the $10,000 they gave for his inaugural. The amazing thing about that is even Matt Blunt and Nixon were transparent about who gave to their inaugural. The arrogance of this governor about his dark money and keeping it secret is amazing. As far as the prescription database, what's wrong? I thought at first he was doing the right thing by at least advancing the topic. But the idea of having a prescription database that doctors and pharmacists don't have access to is absolutely ridiculous.
Well, I think that being said, let's go back to the money. All right, no bid contract that goes to a firm that gave me money. That bothers me. I mean, that's just that's not right. You know, I don't all this mystery money and all that. That doesn't mean that just because you declare it. I mean, you know, this is the same problem I have with the county executive. It seems like you do something for me, I do something straight for you, and that's not right.
But you guys, you do understand that Bill, and I understand that we are comparing local government to national government and world leaders, but the Clintons are on Mount Rushmore. I mean, we've got plenty of this going on both sides in terms of pay to play and access, and so this is sort of the way politics has always been.
I hear you, and I do understand that, but I'm just kind of like, we're at a point now, especially Missouri, and then break it down, St. Louis County, St. Louis. We're broken, okay?
Yeah.
We can't do things the way everybody else is doing them, and that's just
What I don't get about this process when it comes to the executive branch of government or legislature, you're allowed to give money and then you can get contracts. What if in the judicial side of government, what if lawyers in front of the bench were giving money to the judge?
Hey, it happens in Illinois. Charlie, I mean, when you run for office in Illinois as a judge, you solicit money, and who gives money but industries who want theirs?
Weren't there
and
even questions
lawyers
about Attorney General Chris
Look
Koster?
at the Supreme Court in Illinois a few years ago. All the money that was spent.
In Illinois, can I give money to a judge that I have a case in front of? If so, that's corrupt.
But you might have one in the future, and you
can't
knowing
get
that.
off the track
But
here.
wait a second. Did
no.
we or did we not discuss the fact that former Attorney General Chris Koster had a list of supporters and benefactors from various corporate?
The New York Times called him on that.
Correct. So, I
I'm
mean,
sorry, but
it's
again, this is so selective. You can bring every one of these issues back to St. Louis County like they invented it. How about the city? How about St. Charles County?
No,
Who knows?
I agree.
My point is this. Here's the deal. It always seems to come back to one place. Here's the deal. The fact that you're acting kind of surprised by this, the whole campaign finance system in America is built upon quid pro quo across in all 50 states, nationally, and with the Citizens United, it's completely a free-for-all. I don't know why we're even thinking this has anything to do with St. Louis or Missouri. It's everywhere.
Well, because we live in St. Louis.
But it's everywhere.
And we're complaining about
no
bid contracts.
And I don't disagree with that. Although I tell you what,
Not only non-bid
the
contracts,
interesting
but
thing
it's
about
all
it
over.
is Express Scripts is such a huge operation that from their perspective, I don't think the $250,000 contract means much. I mean, in terms of that.
I
don't.
Ray's
But
right.
having
It's a
said,
$100 billion
I don't-
corporation.
I don't think we should.
But
it has something to do with
the
them.
governor curiously
No, I
cut
think
out this special deal that you pointed out that the doctors here, let's say I go to Ray, you're the doctor, and I've been doctor shopping, you don't know about it, and it's the only state in the union where you don't know about
My
it.
question about Greitens is if we know that about an honorable company like Express Scripts, what's he doing for the dark money people that we don't even know?
Right.
That's what I want to know.
I'm just shocked that corruption means nothing because, hey, they do it everywhere.
But this
So
isn't
that's
corruption.
Fine. That's fine.
No, but
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think it's
outraged.
voters
I don't have a problem.
decide where the outrage is, don't they?
See, I don't
Yeah,
have
they don't care. You're right.
They
And-
Okay,
good
Wendy,
point.
let's move on. How about this? Nicole Galloway, who is the state auditor appointed to the position by Jay Nixon, came out with a scathing report on the former, now retired governor this week, said among other things that he inflated the expenses for his office by like a third. It went from $6 million to $8 million, maybe that's by a third, by taking money from other departments and using them for the governor's office. That was pretty bad. He was also accused of feeding his family at the public trough at public expense. But the one thing that really shocked me is that Jay Nixon, according to Nicole Galloway in this blistering report, had 1,130 vacancies in commissions and committees and boards that he had not filled. And she said he left the state's commissions in oblivion. You know what? He did nothing as governor. He didn't even fill commissions and committees.
Well, we would actually talk about it on this program, wondering if he, if the lights were off in the office, if he was even there, if he was sitting in the chair, if he was forwarding the calls. This is a scathing report, and I get the feeling that it has less to do with Jay Nixon, because what are you going to do? What are you going to do now? I mean, his political career. Once upon a time, we were talking about him being headed for the White House,
Vice President.
And but I don't think that's going to happen. I think this speaks volumes, though, about the aspirations of our auditor, Nicole Galloway.
I think it speaks.
I'm very impressed.
Well, I was going to say,
this work.
It doesn't speak just about her aspirations, about her character. Because I
Right.
mean, when I first saw the
Ethical.
story, I glanced at it, I thought it was about, you figure the Democratic auditor is
Right.
going after Eric Greitens and the Republican, and then you realize she was talking about the last governor.
Yeah.
And I thought it speaks to her integrity that she did it. And I don't know, I mean, Jay Nixon, as I always come back to your, if you can't kick a man when he's down, when can you kick him?
Right.
But I don't really think there's any point in dwelling on Jay Nixon but other than I think that this is a service.
Using taxpayer
no,
money
no.
for food
No, I'm
and
just saying for us
moving things around.
I just let it go, but I will say this:
Also-
that it shows a lot of integrity by
Well,
her.
he appointed her, right?
That's
He
kind of
won
amazing.
The election, he appointed her, and so I don't know what to think.
So do you think maybe she should have been a little more loyal?
No, well, Wendy, I hate to be
Loyal is such a-
constantly standing up for corruption.
Well, I recall being
But
on
I
this.
am from
The
Chicago.
whole show.
That's right. It's Illinois. You can't help it.
When he doesn't appoint those positions, he leaves it to his Republican successor to
I'm
do that. So
surprised
it's a
at that.
huge blow. I'm not.
really
I was trying to
surprised.
educate you guys for the last 8 years that the guy doesn't do anything.
Well, I think he did do things. I had no idea on this commission and this board deal, because that's something that you could just tell one of your subordinates, hey, this is going to be, we're going on a retreat, and this is filled the commission's weekend over the next 72 hours.
Like a
We're-
colored pencil.
Yeah,
Just sort
and
of
I don't care
fill-
if you have to like throw a dart at the white
Right.
pages and call that person up on the
All right.
phone.
How about you? Hey, Bill McClellan, I want to take a look at a Business Journal story that said that Joe Reagan, who heads up the regional chamber, makes $770,000 a year. That's in today's edition. And at $770,000, that's more than the Chamber of Commerce directors in Atlanta, Chicago, Miami, Seattle, a lot of towns, Boston, towns that are bigger than ours. Well worth it?
No, a few weeks ago I was suggesting we fire Joe Reagan. And here again, I mean, this is a national search firm. You look around for the best guy, and what do you get? You get the guy that interviews best. And that's obviously Joe Reagan. I wouldn't mind paying him more than Detroit and Atlanta and everybody else if we were getting results. But we're not. I mean, St. Louis and the St. Louis region is slipping and sliding. And the only news we ever hear from Joe Reagan is the employees are disgruntled, and now he's the highest paid guy. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, if you look at, let's look at like franchises, okay? The highest paid coaches are those that actually have won the Super Bowl and are up there. But that next tier is usually some coach who has some background of success, maybe at a smaller school or wants to go to a bigger program, and he gets paid because he's taken over a loser. And they said, you got a tough, road to hoe, so dude, we're going to pay you to do it. So I think that's where this number kind of begins at. Now, I'm not going to begrudge the man's salary. Is it a whole lot of money for an organization which I kind of quasi don't even know exactly what it does? I would agree with that. But the fact that he's getting paid,
I think, and I'm not an economist, but when the region is sliding and the person responsible for cheerleading for the region is making that kind of money, people should be outraged. I mean, seriously outraged. We have got to start demanding better of our leaders, in my opinion.
How long has he been here?
I'll say this: he is making more than triple his counterpart in Louisville, and we did get him from Louisville. So we got him from that market, and he's now making more than triple that particular person, which is rather
all the news is about the
sink in.
employees in revolt.
Yeah, let that sink in.
rather astonishing.
Well, maybe he'll join us October 5th for Donny Bash. Maybe not. I mean, hey, he's got the funds. He can buy a ticket or two. How about it, Joe? Here's how you can join us October 5th at the Sheldon.
All right, we are going to be coming back to Donnybrook in just a few minutes, but right now we would like to invite you to be one of at least 30 people who joined during this break. We did really well during the last break, but we're looking for you to say, yes, I want to be a part of Donny Bash this year, celebrating 30 years of Donnybrook on the air here at the 9 Network. Hi, I'm Kate Durbin. I'm planning on being there, hoping that you are going to be there too. We do want to thank our volunteers who are with us tonight. They've been a part of the 9 Network for a long time too. They're the 9 team, people who come and spend their time and give their talents to us here at the 9 Network to help for all the behind the scenes things. We'd also like to thank the Fountain on Locust, a great restaurant that is well known for its grilled cheeses, voted the best in Missouri, also known for their great ice cream treats, and voted the best restaurant to impress out-of-towners. So why don't you drop into the Fountain on Locust and thank them for supporting the 9 Network. Well, once again, we are inviting you right now to join us at Donny Bash, and it is so very affordable and so much fun. Your $50 membership will get you a ticket to Donny Bash. It happens at the Sheldon Concert Hall. This year it is Thursday, October 5th. Now that is sneaking up, and this is going to be one of your last opportunities to let us know that you want to be there. A wonderful night. Reception starts at 5:30, and there's hors d'oeuvres, and you can have cocktails or get yourself a soda, whatever you'd like, and talk to the members of the Donnybrook cast as well as other members of the 9 Network. Then just before 7 o'clock, everyone heads into the concert hall, gets in their seats, and then at 7 o'clock live on the air, Donny Bash is going on, and you can be a part of the audience. Believe me, all the hams in there, they thrive on the energy that you bring to that theater, so join us. If you don't want to go by yourself, of course you can say, I want 2 tickets, 3 tickets, 4 tickets, and each one is just an incremental bump of $50. If you want to become a sustaining member of the 9 Network, and I think this is the best deal going, just $10 per month, you will receive 2 seats to Donny Bash, and you will also receive the Copper 9 Network mug. So please make your decision about which membership level you're interested in, how many folks you'd like to have with you at Donny Bash that night, and give us a call, won't you? 30. We're looking for 30. Marianne?
Well, here we are. And we're busy talking about Donny Bash that is coming up on October 5th. What are you all going to be doing? Anything special? Are you going to have some pyrotechnics as you all are introduced?
Hope so.
Or wouldn't that be kind of
No,
fun?
we're going to dress like the band Kiss.
Charlie's he wants us all to be shot out of cannons, so that's a new twist.
Oh, well, that's-
yeah.
A little bit of dry ice, and then we might come up on the floor, maybe some sort of hydraulic lift.
Oh,
or
that
something
would be
like
nice. That would be, yeah.
We're going to
That'd
all
be
be wearing
great.
the eclipse glasses for the whole show.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna find Rally Cat and just
just
have him in my spot. You know,
That'll work.
Rally Cat.
I hope you're wearing protective gear.
I know how to have it.
Always.
I got
every show.
cats.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I know that poor guy. I couldn't believe that.
That was amazing.
Well, I'll tell you, when we talk about Donnybrook here, 30 years, it hardly seems, has gone by that fast, hasn't it?
They were 60. Bill and Ray were 60 when it started.
Really?
Yeah, and now they're 90. So yeah, a lot of good times. Good times.
Well, we were all younger, let's put it that way. But, you know, I didn't live in St. Louis at the time, and I would be back, and there was this show called Donnybrook, you know, and I watched it a couple times, and it was like, oh, it's kind of a cool show, you know, and then I'd go back to wherever I lived, and I'd come back, and it was still on the air, and I'd come back and still on the air. So when I moved back to stay in 1995, it was still on the air, and I don't want to say I was shocked, but I guess through the goodness of those that support Channel 9, it's still on. So I was like, oh, okay, well, people like it. Never thinking I would actually be on the show. And that's the truth.
And you're right. Thanks to the viewers, we are still here.
And see, I distinctly remember thinking how neat it was to see these journalists that we were familiar with the work of the journalists, but to see them kind of unfiltered and interacting that way was really, that was fascinating to me. And it, the conversations would get really emotional, and it was just a new kind of television. Today, half of the television world has taken a page out of Donnybrook's.
True.
Yeah,
playbook.
that's right.
And the beauty was, and this is the part that I got, and you all you knew this from radio, and then you all were writers, and I was too, worked in newspaper. You knew that these were the kind of conversations you had in a newsroom or
Off the air.
And they were a little more colorful, but they were the same conversations. I said, this is actually what gets said in newsrooms, and people don't realize it, but they're really getting a slice of what a workplace is like, and that's what makes it special.
Well, and actually, when you talk to people who still watch the program and love it and who are loyal viewers, they really do understand what it is that they're seeing, that they are seeing those kind of discussions that are not on the air. And that is what I think makes the show work so well. So when we ask people if they want to be a Donny Bash, I mean, that's just sort of like the icing on the cake. If you like the show, then you go to Donny Bash, then it's a whole nother ballgame there.
Right.
Yeah.
And it is fun, hopefully a little informative, and it's local. That's really the hallmark.
Oh.
We are local.
Well, good. That was like a tip line or whatever, because I wanted to say this. I said, I love it when we do it in the off year because it's not bound down by national politics and all that.
Yep.
We really get to kind of delve into whatever the local news is at the time. I really like that. I just, for some reason, it stands out. I call it the odd year, I guess, because we have evens, we have somewhat national elections. But it's just, I enjoy talking about the stuff that impacts us most, and this will be a good year for it.
I still think I plot a lot of it out nationally, though, and I don't disagree with that. But when you think about our landmarks, we started in '87 when a lot of us felt the world was ending because Ronald Reagan and John Ashcroft were our president and governor. We started Donnybrook in 2005 with George W. Bush and Matt Blunt when we thought the world was going to end. Danny Bash. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
In 2005, what did I say?
Purpose Joe.
And then, I'm losing my-
Sorry.
So we had
I can interrupt
2005.
you all there because we
I
need
can
But all
remember-
this, and now today, I look back and most of those people seem like Lincoln. Compared to now we really should be
Gotta
worried
go back
about
to
the
Lincoln.
I can
guys.
remember in the very early years, Ray, it was the New Hampshire primary and Bill Clinton, and you made your famous proclamation
that was
that Bill Clinton is toast.
I was uncharacteristically succinct.
Right.
Boy, he hardly recovered.
Oh my God. Well, make sure that you give us a call right now and join us for Donny Bash. If you've been there before, don't be shy. Come on back, right? But give us a call right now. Thanks.
His daughter.
Hey, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing you in October. Ray Hartmann, you'll be there as always. And you know a little something about Gordon Schweitzer and his daughter Ann and his father. Turns out Gordon Schweitzer was the administrator for the municipal courts in the city of St. Louis. And his job has been, well, he no longer has to show up to work because he's been replaced by the mayor, Lyda Cruson. She's going in another direction. Now, Tony Messenger from the Post-Dispatch said, hey, the courts were run well. Why are you replacing this guy, Gordon Schweitzer? You know a little something about his family and his history,
I don't
don't
know
you?
anything that exciting, but what's interesting, first of all, Lyda Cruson's the mayor. She's, whether it's by state or this, she's going to appoint people that she wants to appoint. It's politics. I mean, she's going to bring people in.
Right.
Based on the column and what I've heard, Mr. Schweitzer has a great reputation in the courts and hopefully will continue to serve in some capacity in the community. But So that's not, I don't think that's anything that big a deal that she made that choice. The most interesting thing about it is Gordon Schweitzer's daughter, Ann, was Vervis Jones's campaign manager, and that's Tashara Jones, Vervis's daughter's campaign manager, and the theory is that this is why Ida did this.
The theory?
Well, maybe it is, but I don't know. But here's the thing. The interesting thing is her grandfather, Gordon Schweitzer the First or whatever, his dad, and her grandfather, Vervis ran against him in 1984 and lost for sheriff. And I remember Gordon Schweitzer, the one that Vervis ran against, being considered like a member of the Citizens Council and pretty right-wing guy. And here his granddaughter ends up being Vervis's campaign manager.
Tashara's.
Well, I got to.
It's all right.
It's Tashara. I think I just want Vervis to run again. That's what I'm No, it's Tashara's campaign manager.
That's an interesting twist in St. Louis history.
It is.
It's fascinating.
It shows how generations change.
True.
Yeah.
But it shows how nothing ever changes in St. Louis. Right. You oppose me, you got to go. Now, and you didn't even do it. Your daughter did it. Never mind you doing a fine job down there at the municipal court. You got to go. And just like I was saying with Ben Shamel, we have to do things differently in St. Louis. This is more same old, same old. We were all happy. Oh, Slade's finally
as long
gone.
As we keep
so here,
electing the same people.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like
who keep
Francis,
appointing the same people.
Oh,
Why
exactly.
would you think that? Why does? And I'm not even that a big backer of her, but why would you assume that Lyda Krewson should keep all the people Francis Slade had?
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if you are identified as doing your job well, and as far as the municipal courts are concerned, and only evidence I have is Tony's column, so if somebody wants to refute that, they can. But I'm saying we never got in the municipal court mess that the county did. This gentleman was at least part of the reason why, but yeah, he's got to go. Why? Because his daughter was campaign manager. We got to think outside the box.
Again, I hate to be Chicago sitting here all the time, but this is life. If you challenge somebody, you're going to run Tashara's campaign, and Tashara doesn't win, there's going to be a price to pay.
Your father has to pay the price.
Well, somebody has to pay.
All right, okay.
And she did replace him with a campaign contributor.
Oh, yeah, right.
Well, that's the way it works.
The father is paying for the sins of the daughter.
Yeah.
That's kind of an interesting
Yeah, it's
twist.
not same old, same old. Right.
See,
It's
that's
not.
All right. Alvin, I want to go to you. Why did the NAACP in the county change its mind? You know, last week it was against the travel advisory that the national chapter in Baltimore had promulgated for the state of Missouri, warning African Americans to avoid or be very careful about traveling to Missouri. The county chapter of the NAACP opposed it, and then a 180 on Saturday. They endorsed it. What happened?
Oh, well, they got a phone call or two from some very influential people with the national NAACP, probably board members, probably corporate sponsors, and probably said, get on board or get out. So I think they decided, well, they were going to get on board. By the way, St. Louis the city's got a chapter of the NAACP, the county's got a chapter of the NAACP. In the past, they have not seen eye to eye on things. I think this is the beginning of we're going to have one NAACP.
Better together.
But I think that it's perfectly reasonable to expect the chapter to support the national position on this. And the more I look at this, Missouri, the Republican state legislature brought this on itself because I don't think it's technically accurate to call this horrible Senate Bill 43 a Jim Crow law. It was just conforming to 38 other bad laws around the country. But this was a Jim Crow process. And the idea of having a sponsor who was being sued for racial discrimination and this horrible act of cutting off the microphone of
Rod Chappell.
Rod Chappell, the
NAACP leader.
very distinguished man, leader of the NAACP. They had such a Jim Crow, really racist.
But if I jump in,
I don't blame
well,
the NAACP.
Here's my thing: if a chapter of the National Rifle Association in a city area decided, like, you know what, this assault rifle thing, we're going to stand up and say, nah, we're not with the national. Let's say on the assault rifle, squashed immediately.
Oh, yeah.
And we would all be standing up for them, like, yo, you keep fighting, you keep fighting. But now, like, the county rolls over and everything says, like, oh, no, because they should really, like I say.
Here's the funny thing about this, in my opinion. This standard that they're using for suing for discrimination is the same, as Ray points out, in 38 states, including Baltimore or Maryland, where the NAACP is based. and they don't have a travel advisory there.
Where
And
Freddie
in
Gray
fact,
died.
California has a stricter barrier for suing
It's
for
not the point.
discrimination, and this is also in line with the federal government's Americans with Disability Act in some cases, as well as the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. And what's kind of weird is Chappell was the director of labor under Blunt when we had this, the same standard that we just got rid of, which meant that you had to prove motivating factor to get fired, to sue for discrimination, and he never complained about it then.
We're high profile. I mean, Missouri is high profile on the got a racial problem
We're under
list.
the microscope.
And it's maybe unfair, and I don't think that the NAACP necessarily should have done this, as I said last week, because there's a lot of other states got, I think, bigger issues than we do. But right now, we're at the top of the radar.
Well, especially, Alvin, you know, not only are other states as bad as we are, I mean, I would think, like Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, but they've never done this. This is the first one they've issued, right?
Right.
Yeah, and so it doesn't seem like passing a bill in a bad way rises to the level of, for the first time ever, we're going to issue a travel.
Yeah,
law.
as I wrote about this month, coming up, the pro-tobacco, pro-big industry, black hat guys who basically want to blow up our jury system so that they can keep killing people, they have this ATRA, their Trial Tort Reform Association. They are the ones that called St. Louis and Missouri the #1 judicial hellhole. I don't see anybody pushing back in St. Louis about that. I agree that it's unfair.
Well, and let me just say, that's a different argument.
Well,
Ray.
no, it's
Like,
the
when
same
we start
thing.
getting into
No, you talk about
Johnson
hurting our
Johnson
reputation.
lawsuit.
No, I mean-
Nobody minds that. But
Sure
the
they-
NAACP,
no,
we're all
nobody
worried about
minds
it.
because
And
if I'm traveling to a
yeah,
state,
the
Ray,
NAACP
if I'm traveling to a state, I
Right.
could care less about the court system unless I get arrested. So I don't care about that. But I do care if I'm traveling somewhere and say like, hey man, something liable to happen to you if you go to that
Yeah, but
state.
SB 43 has nothing to do with travel.
I'm
It's
just
for
talking about
housing
the
and
travel
employment.
ban. I'm just
Dave,
saying.
what's also weird about this is that the travel advisory expires August 28th, the same day that the new law goes into effect.
Look, it's a symbolic statement. Everybody's over the top about this.
But you can't.
And I don't
how
like
can you
it
be,
as
how
a
can
Missourian.
you be selectively symbolic?
Okay,
That's
well,
what I don't
they
understand.
can do whatever they want. They have a whole series of things that came together. The racial profiling statistics alone are horrific.
All right, let's
and
get
they're-
into that another day because I want to talk to Wendy about Nashville. Nashville announced it's got a nonstop to London. We've got a nonstop to Cancun. We've got about 1 million more people than Nashville. Now, I know it's Music City and it's a growing area, but come on, why don't we have a nonstop to Europe like Charlotte and Cincy and Nashville?
Well, because this is sort of where we've had a difficult run for a while, and we will come back. But this is sort of a rebuilding process. And while we were on top and Nashville was rebuilding, they rebuilt in a big way, like Kansas City. And in terms of millennials, Nashville is very, very popular with millennials, according to Forbes magazine. They've got $4 billion in building permits downtown. If you drive into downtown Nashville, you see 25 cranes. That's the kind of thing that builds a lot of excitement. You've got the Predators, even though they're garbage.
I'll tell you what, it also comes down to this. Nashville, very involved mayor. Kansas City,
That's
with that
right.
airport. Kansas City,
That's right.
Sly James came in when he was elected. We're doing the airport. And he's like got on people's wrong side because he just ramrodded that thing. They're about to do a total renovation of that airport because he said like, we have to do it. I'm tired of arguing about it. Get on board. And he took control of the situation. Nobody does it. That's why we don't have any numbers.
Nashville's adding 100 people a day.
Yep.
Wow.
And we're stagnant. So
Okay.
I don't know what the specific
That's
is.
why it's
100 people a day are
Hey,
being added to
folks,
Nashville.
in a moment we're going to tell you how you can join us in October. We want 100 people a day to call KETC. But first, how about those letters from last week's show? Well, we heard from Dale Mueller, who wrote, Prop P is a classic example of something that was sold to the public under the guise of helping law enforcement. The politicians leave themselves a great big loophole that they can exploit when it suits their purpose. Dale lives in St. Charles. And we heard from Bob Harrison of Lake St. Louis. The Donnybrook participants must review the previous recordings and note how all their interruptions cause any listener not to be able to understand what's being said. Thanks, Bob. You can write us care of KETC, 3655 Olive Street, 63108, and also communicate other ways as well. Hey, in a moment, we're going to go back and tell you how you can join us in October.
Donnybrook is made possible through the generous support of the members of KETC.
And we want to say thank you to those of you who have been calling in as we celebrate 30 years of Donnybrook. We're looking for 30 new members, or maybe just members who need to renew a membership. Some of you may have already been to a Donny Bash, but don't be shy. Come on back. The next one is scheduled for Thursday, October 5th. It's right around the corner. Tickets are starting to dwindle a little bit, so we want to make sure that you don't miss out on this opportunity to be at a one-of-a-kind event. You know, if you like Donnybrook and you've never been to a Donny Bash, it's like you don't know what you're missing. Give it a try. And if you've been there before, don't be shy. Come on back. Tickets to Donny Bash on that Thursday, October 5th are at $50 a ticket. But we have a wonderful deal for you right now, and that is when you become a sustainer of the 9 Network at $10 a month, you will receive 2 tickets to Donny Bash and the handsome 9 Network mug that a lot of folks are showing off these days. That's a great deal for you. Not only that, but for whether you want the tickets or whether you want to become a sustainer, you will also have access to 9 Passport, which is a dandy new feature that we have here that folks are really enjoying. 9 Passport is a huge collection of past and present programs on the 9 Network, and you have access to the 9 to those programs on PBS and 9 Network. You have access to those programs to watch anywhere, anytime that you like. Anywhere, anytime. That's 9 Passport, and it's exclusive to 9 Network members. So don't be shy. Give us a call. We're looking for 30 members right now, whether you're new or whether you've been to Donny Bash before, whether you just like this program. Give us a call right now. Let's go over and join the folks from Donnybrook and Kate Durbin.
Well, there was a momentary lull in the conversation, so I'm glad to jump in and welcome you back into the studio. You recognize the set, you see it all the time. You make it happen if you're a member of the 9 Network, and I know as we've had conversations before, you guys are really grateful for the support of the viewers.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't be here without it.
Exactly.
Wouldn't be here without it.
And also at Donny Bash, the vocal support. You know, it's cool. Like, yeah, that's why you should be there.
No, we've never followed the mailbag before. This is our chance to comment on the letters.
Yeah.
That's right. Some of these
But actually, the letters,
right?
speaking of the viewers, their letters are a lot more cogent than we are. So that's,
Well, and at the risk of sounding incredibly schmaltzy, which is sort of what I do from time to time, the viewers greatly enhance our lives, don't
Sure.
they?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
truly.
They're the key.
Talk about that.
When we're out in the community, to encounter a viewer is the most wonderful thing. You can have a really not great day. You know, you can have your battery dies, or you have something going on at work, and you encounter a Donnybrook viewer, and they are warm, they are adorable, be they male, female, old or young, whatever part of the city or the region they're from. They love this program, and they love the 9 Network, and they show it. I mean, they're just wonderful people.
Right, and they will tell you, like, I'm a sustaining member.
Right.
Or I've been a member for however many years. I'm coming back to Donny Bash because I appreciated it so much. And I'm always that, it's so cool that you like the show, even better that you support the station, because the station is why there's a show, and you're supporting just more than us.
Exactly.
And that's I hope everybody realizes when we sit here and we do this, is they come to Donny Bash, but the key point is, you're supporting so much more than Donnybrook when you come to Donny Bash.
And Donny Bash is just like a big party celebrating the whole thing.
Exactly.
Celebrating the viewers and the connection with us, and the party beforehand and afterwards.
Right.
And the interaction during the show. It's a blast.
It is.
And it's a fundraiser for this great civic asset, which is the 9 Network of Public Media that makes all this public broadcasting possible for the St. Louis area. So it's a fundraiser, it's a fun time, and we only do it once a year. So
That's
this is the
right.
time to get those tickets.
And it is the time. You know, we've been saying that this is going to be happening for a couple of membership drives now, but this is the last membership drive before Donny Bash happens, October 5th at the Sheldon, and we do want you to be there. 30 people during each break is what we're looking for to celebrate 30 years here on the 9 Network.
One a year?
Well, and the other thing that you'll notice if you've never been to Donny Bash before, and that's kind of hard to imagine that somebody who's been watching Donnybrook for a while has not been to Donny Bash, because it's that much fun, is that when we talk about the issues in the community, I mean, if you pay attention to politics in other big cities, everybody takes everything very, very seriously, and we do take the issues that this community is facing seriously. But at Donny Bash, everybody's sort of on the same page. Yes, we recognize that we've got problems. Yes, we realize we have a lot of things to work on, but everybody has raised their children here, or they're having their children here, and it's just a kind of a neat experience to have everybody.
Well, we are looking for you. We are looking for you to be a part of it. Please give us a call right now. Mary Ann's going to let you know how easy it is.
It's really easy to be in the audience for Donny Bash. The date is Thursday, October 5th. And at $50 a ticket, well, you can call the volunteers and ask them, well, do you want 1, 2, whatever, let them do the math for you. But let me do some math for you right now in the form of a really great deal. And that is when you become a sustainer of the 9 Network for $10 a month, ongoing monthly contributions, you will receive 2 tickets to Donny Bash plus the handsome 9 Network mug, our way of saying thank you for supporting great programs like Donnybrook. And if you'd like to join us online, you can do the same and enjoy the tickets and the mug. The offer is good online as well. Just go online at 9net.org and just follow the instructions. But don't miss this Donny Bash. This is going to be a wonderful evening. It starts at 5:30. It's at the Sheldon Concert Hall. Plenty of parking, and that parking is free. There's a reception before the show. There's a reception afterwards. So you can be there from 5:30 until they close it down. And I know a lot of the folks from Donnybrook are very fond of closing down that reception. So you're going to have a great time. But don't miss Donny Bash, because if you love the program Donnybrook, Donny Bash is a whole wonderful other experience. We want you to be part of it, but give us a call right now.